Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to give you guys the final update on my Bleed Bow Gladiator journey, and I want to answer some question when it comes to like Bleed Bow versus endgame, as well as like why Gladiator is champion not better, and what about Split Arrow versus Rain of Arrows versus like all these kind of things. First of all, quick map showcase, because I think I posted a bunch of like map showcases and all the invitations, the feared, and all these kind of things in the past couple days. So I just want to quickly run a map and then talk about the build, my final 2 cents about it, and yeah, we're gonna go from there, I guess. So overall, I mean, I think it's a solid, I would say 7 out of 10 overall. So the way I play this like maps, I just click on every altar. I don't even read what they're doing. I should do that just based on currency. Wait, the sound is a little bit too loud. Like, you know, you should usually read the altars, what they're doing, like if it counters your build. But with this character, it is very, very tanky, and in my opinion, it's just an absolute breeze to play something like that. But there is something that I have seen, like, when I throw this build into all the endgame, like really endgame bosses yesterday. So this build is capable of doing every single Uber boss in the game. I've done all of the 7 Uber Pinnacle bosses, as well as 100% Delhi map, as well as the Wave 30 Simulacrum. So we cleared an entire Simulacrum with this build as well. And this is where I feel the build falls short a bit. So I think overall it's like, it should be a very, very nice league starter into like mid-tier budget kind of things. But once you really want to go all out on the like hardest endgame of Path of Exile, this is where the build falls short, and this is where I want to talk about the highlights, like that I think if I would build this again, I would do certain things different just to have like an easier time when it comes to this like, yeah, ultra late game content. But overall, for being a Bleed Bow character, it is just like, yeah, as you see, I'm like super tanky. I can just almost stand in everything. Single target with puncture, does have like a low / high roll, because since we're playing with the Restarter's Coil, so a high roll gets you bleed capped, a low roll would be still like somewhere around the 20 million single target DPS, which I think is pretty good in my opinion. And I think actually that bleed is the, wait, did I actually forget to kill the boss? Oh no. Creep. Quickly run back, Exile. Wait, where did I skip the boss? Yeah, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna run back while I'm talking, right? So what I was saying, single target wise, it is in my opinion really good. As I said, bleed cap, or basically dot cap, you really feel that once you even face like Cozies on wave 30 or anything like super high content, once you get a big puncture off, the bosses are melting, if you get the big puncture off, right? So this is a possessed boss with increased life. Yeah, okay, he just like disappeared like any other rare mob. So, oh yeah, what I was saying is bleed is, in my opinion, the strongest dot that you can have in the game. Reason for that, I'm not saying that the bleed bow is better than like a poison build or better than EK Ignite, but the way bleed works, because bleed damage is kind of true damage, because there is no reduction of bleed damage. Because, for example, if you play any Ignite build, if you run Simulacrum and there is like an 80 fire res modifier on, you feel that your Ignite's doing a lot less damage, right? Same with any kind of like Chaos Dot, whether it's like something like Essence Drain, whether it's poison related, right? If monsters do have a lot of Chaos resistance, your damage gets lower. There is no modifier that reduces your bleed damage. And you might say like, yo, wait a second, what about armor, right? It's physical damage reduction, right? This is true, but armor only counts against hits, okay? It will lower the hit that I'm doing with my puncture, with my split arrow and stuff, but this doesn't modify my bleed damage. Here you can see that this is like the final POB. We are sitting here on 29 mil puncture DPS in the average. As I said, there's a high roll, there's a low roll and stuff, right? So if I go to config and put this to no stuff, we have 29.2 million bleed DPS. If I put this to Guardian, it's 29.3 million still. Why is that? Because yes, bosses do have a lot of like resistance and extra armor and like these kind of things, right? But this does not affect bleed. So in that case, bleed is kind of like the strongest dot because it is kind of true damage. And something like overwhelm physical damage mitigation is also only counted for hits. There is like no point, like if I skill like any kind of like overwhelm, it still does the same damage. It modifies my hit damage, but I don't care about the hit damage because this is a dot build, right? So let's talk about what do we start first? Gearing. Let's do this like crucial informations first. Gladiator versus Champion. In my opinion, Champion wins it. Okay, why do I still play Gladiator? Just because that's the way I intended this character to be and the way I geared the character, but Champion definitely wins the race. So what I did is basically going Gladiator and getting Fortitude from the Forbidden Flame Flash Jewels, right? If I would play Champion, I would most likely get the Arena Challenger charges because I love speed, and speed is just good, right? And probably play with Hemophilia Gloves. That would also mean that I'm missing out on the 20% more physical damage over time. But therefore, Champion gives you like attack speed while fortified, and you run perma fortified anyways, right? You also get armor evasion while fortified and stun immunity. This character, as of right now, is not stun immune. And honestly, I should have actually played Brine King against the Uber bosses, but I actually died because I got stun locked, right? This is something that never occurred in any kind of mapping because I do have a lot of like damage reduction, even though I have a very short or low life pool. But getting stun locked or anything like that didn't really matter to me in any content besides Uber Pinnacle bosses. Like if they hit me like Searing Exile with his like Flame Barrage, whatever, if he hits you once, he just like mini stuns you all the time, and this is kind of annoying, as well as like if you get stunned while loading up your puncture basically, right? So stun immunity definitely strong over there, as well as like inspirational with the bun of skills are free. That means we have less mana reservation efficiency needed, so you can play another amulet and stuff like that. So overall, definitely Champion. And then I would play First to Strike, Last to Fall with the Adrenaline. The way I would play this is either with a weapon swap, or you just get a Corrupting Fever or something that you activate to drop below low life threshold to proc Adrenaline before bosses. Even in mapping, it's like every 20 seconds you have to press this like Corrupting Fever, for example, then you regen back up and you're gonna have this like extra damage, and on top of that, that's pretty much probably similar to the 20% more damage for physical damage over time. So that's why I say Champion in 9 out of 10 cases the way to go. I still stick with the Gladiator, as I said, because I planned this build to be a Gladiator. Next thing, Split Arrow versus Rain of Arrows. So I am a Split Arrow fan. That's why I do play Split Arrow, and up to a point, to the very, very, very end game, there was no difference, right? I just have like my 10 projectiles, they chain, I'm running chain support over here. So it really, really feels good in the mapping aspect. And my Split Arrow still does have, where do we have it? Split Arrow, like 2.5 million bleed DPS. This is super easy for all kinds of content. Besides Simulacrum, 100% Delhi. So I've done a 100% Delhi map, and it was deathless. This was not the issue, but you definitely feel that 2.5 million dot DPS against 100% Delhi monsters does start to feel bad, okay? The way we encounter this for bosses, for example, we do have our Ensnaring Arrows. You can play Mana Forged support with the Ensnaring Arrow if you want to. I personally don't mind loading up my Puncture, shoot an enemy, and then just place my totems real quick because they are fast anyways, right? But if you have like hordes of monsters, let's say like there is like 50 monsters on the screen, right? And you start Split Arrow, totems, totems, Split Arrow, Split Arrow, Split Arrow. You know, your totems will not cover a lot. You probably have to play that with GMP and those kind of things. So, like in Simulacrum above wave 25, for example, it really started to take forever to kill off monsters. Rare packs had to get punctured. They weren't really dying with a Split Arrow anymore. And the same thing kind of was like with 100% Delhi. So, can this build do 100% Delhi? Yes, it can. Deathless, no problem. But it takes a while because the way Split Arrow works with the bleeding. So if you don't know, bleeding does a certain amount of damage, but if a monster is moving while bleeding, I think they get like 270% more damage. It's the same when you have a bleed and you stand still, it almost does nothing, but once you start moving, it really freaking kills you, basically, right? So if monsters are not moving, it's like very, very bad damage. So basically, I think I can just put this one to ensnare to 0, so monsters are not moving, and all of a sudden we have 800k damage with Split Arrow. And now think about 800k DPS versus 100% daily monsters, or a wave 27 Simulacrum, or wave 30 even, right? This just doesn't feel good. So I would personally think that going for Rain of Arrows, even like, especially in this league, basically, with the node that I don't have, you know, with Rain of Arrows deal like 300% more damage, or chance to deal 300 more damage with bleeding, and then I would actually go for Crimson Dance. What that would mean is, for something like a Simulacrum 100% daily, you have a good coverage with the Rain of Arrows, and you just keep on spamming that, and the bleeds will just stack up. So basically, they don't take extra damage from moving, but you can stack it up 8 times. It gives you half bleed damage, but that basically means 2 stacks is equal to a normal bleeding. So once you get this one up, you can definitely stack that, and I would say for Simulacrums 100% daily, or any kind that is not like normal mapping, I would probably go for the Rain of Arrows, especially because we have Crucible. But the way I make this build is like, I don't want to abuse anything that is in the league. So no Headhunter, no Mage Blood, no Crucible trees that gonna break, or at least make the build a lot stronger, right? We have here like some physical damage, some quality, and like stats basically, right? So no broken extra fizz or whatever Crucible nodes that might not exist for the next league. So I'm pretty sure this build will kind of survive anyways, right? So as I said, I think league start, mid-budget, super fine, but for the real end game, it kind of lacks something, you know? But still, I have done all the content today, so if I go down to completions here, I killed all the 7 Uber Pinnacle bosses, I did 100% daily, I did a wave 30 Simulacrum. It can do everything. But if you ask me like, yo, I need a good Simu farmer, is Bleed Bow good? I would not say, okay? You just don't get enough, rewards for the effort, right? Same is like, hey, I need a good Uber boss killer, is Bleed Bow good? No, not really. It can do it, but there is definitely a lot of different builds that are better at this. Good. So these questions are out of the way. I would say Champion over Gladiator, Rain of Arrows over Split Arrow. Good. Let's talk about the gear and my approach to the build. Everything that I have here is self-crafted besides the quiver. This quiver has fizz.multi, dot multi, life, fizz damage, and res, and damage with both skills. I bought this one for 4 divines. It has a shit implicit, but, you know, cost, efficiency, it was really, really good. Just like 4 divines for a quiver like that, I'll take that any day. My rare pieces here, and these count in for all 4 here, from helmet, gloves, boots, and chest, they all have a fractured modifier. Because I think it is pretty easy to craft things like that. You get a good base with the fractured modifiers and you spam essence, so 2 mods are already guaranteed to be the fractured mod and the essence, so you just spam those until you hit like a 3rd or a 4th good modifier, maybe vision craft with an exalted orb, and then craft something on it, and you're gonna have a top-notch item. Never gonna be a mirror tier item by any means, but for how easy it is to craft items with the fractured modifiers and essence, I think is like a really, really good way of getting really good items. So here I spammed Essence of Envy for chaos resistance. I got like some life, some physical damage, nothing too crazy over here, and I crafted some resistance. For the boots, pretty much the same. I crafted this with Envy, so chaos resistance. I hit a T1 res, and then I think I just did a Veiled Chaos Orb for the movement speed. I hit actually T1 life and then Exalt Slammed Armor Evasion, so I think these boots are pretty nice as well. Then I went with the Grasping Mail because of the Fractured Global Defense, and since I'm stacking Armor and Evasion rating, this is like some quite good increase of my Armor Evasion, and I spammed the Essence of Loathing, I think, for Mana Reservation Efficiency until I hit Spell Suppression. Then I had, I think, Open Suffix as well, so I said Suffix cannot be changed, and Harvest Craft Reforged Chaos. I hit tier 2 Chaos Resistance, and then I just like Exalt Slammed, crafted Life, and yeah, called it a day basically, right? Helmet was crafted with, also with like Mana Reservation Efficiency, with a Fractured Spell Suppression, until I hit, what did I hit? I hit T1 Res and T1 Armor Evasion, and I Exalt Slammed T1 Life. Yeah, and then I crafted Fizz Damage Taking as Fire. So that's basically how this helm came together. On the bow, I spammed Essence of Contempt, I think. That's like the physical essence. And as you probably see already, I'm doing a lot of these crafts just with Essence spamming until I hit something good. So what I did here is I essence spammed the content, got Dictator's mod, annulled the rest off, made prefix cannot be changed, prefix cannot be changed, and then I ace-linked it. There is also a chance, like always a chance, that you're gonna remove a suffix and add a suffix, but this time around we hit a prefix, and in very many cases it's going to be a physical modifier. I hit the fizz damage with Impale. I mean, there's nothing bad about that, and this bow currently, and then I just multi-mod for attack speed and fizz.multi, this bow has currently 800 fizz DPS with the implicit of bleeding deal faster. Then for the amulet, I got myself a mana reservation efficiency base. As I said, as a champion, you would not need that. Then allocated charisma for even more mana reservation efficiency. I spammed here as well the physical damage to attacks. I hit chaos res.multi. I had crafted life on that, but I have this like kind of mana problem that I would like to permanently cast my snipe without running out of mana. And as you see, I'm sustaining it for the most part. I could probably hold this one down for like a minute or so before I really run out, because the problem is if you don't have the minus mana cost for channeling skills, you're gonna load it up, you maybe miss an arrow, so you want to charge again, and then all of a sudden it starts like doing this because you're out of mana, so you cannot get the stages up, and this feels pretty bad. So I decided to get the channeling skills twice, actually 3 times with my ring, so we have like a good amount of less mana cost of snipe, as well as playing a life mastery that gives like half converted. Where is it? Skills cost life instead of 30% of mana cost. That means that 70% is mana cost, 30% is life cost. So we're gonna get this mana cost even lower, and now I can basically sustain that. Maybe you can fit in a clarity if you still have problems with that, but it shouldn't be the biggest issue. Just keep that in mind that you want to have that. For split arrow, there is like not really a problem, because split arrow has such a high mana cost that there is no way you're going to sustain that. You probably need a rare chest with influence, with socketed gems have like reduced mana cost or something like that, but the easy fix is play it with life tap, okay? Something like snipe, because this is a channeling skill, this is a non-channeling skill, and you cannot get like overall like minus mana cost like we had with the Eldrin rings, right? So put in a life tap and just don't worry about anything of mana cost. It's 114 life, but we do run a low level vitality, so we can sustain our life spent basically, so only worry about the channeling mana cost of snipe. Good, let's talk about the oh yeah, then I have an onslaught ring, just for more speed, and then I have like my circle of guild with vulnerability. Gem wise, we have here split arrow, vicious projectiles, deadly ailments, chain support, brutality, and life tap support for our clearing skill. Then we have puncture, snipe, vicious projectiles, deadly ailments, swift affliction, and brutality for snipe. On the helmet, we're running Ensnaring Arrow with the Ballister Totem. As I said, you can put in like a Mana Forged or something like that if you prefer that. Then I run Vitality with Arrogant Support that reserves a little bit of my life. And that also means that I can get 1% maximum resistance if you have life and mana reserved. Okay, just a low level Vitality, level 1, level 5 or something like that. So it doesn't really hurt your HP pool at all. Then on the gloves, we have Malevolence, Enlighten, Determination, and Grace. On the boots, Herald of Purity, Flesh and Stone, Defiance Banner with Frostblink. Why do I play Frostblink? Simple, if I charge up my Puncture over here, 7 stacks, I can blink and still remain with my 7 stacks over here. Every other skill would actually, like, basically shoot your arrow while you're blinking and stop your channel, right? This also works with, like, Cyclone, so you can use Cyclone, like Frostblink, while you're channeling. If you want to make this more budget and you don't want to go full out on like mana reservation efficiency like I did, you know, League starter wise, I would just go for like Determination plus Herald of Purity. This will basically give you like the early base damage, right? I'm not running Pride because, you know, I'm just not the biggest fan of Pride. But then I would probably just skip Grace as well. So you have like your defensive auras would be Grace, Determination, Defiance Banner, and Flesh and Stone is like something in between, because we do play with Arena Challenger charges, so I want to swap between a stances, Sand Stance for mapping, and Blood Stance for bossing, right? And then you have like your offensive aura, which is Malevolence, as well as Herald of Purity. So, you know, the earlier the build stage is, the more auras you have to cut, and the more essence craft. So I have here like mana reservation efficiency on the Searing Exarch Eater of Worlds implicit as well. So we're having like 22% over here. We have like up to 10% on the chest. I do have 10% on the amulet. This could still be catalysted, right? So I'm running a lot of mana reservation efficiency. I do have charisma anointed, as well as running here the mana reservation efficiency cluster over there as well. There is another mana reservation efficiency cluster over here, but this would be just way too many points to get up there. But if I would do so, I could fit in Pride as well, but I'm starved on the gem slots as well. But yeah, that's for that. So what about the cluster jewels? I have here, or jewels in general, right? I have here a pretty nice Glorious Vanity with Divine Flesh. Divine Flesh is not really needed at all, because the way you would play Divine Flesh is get as max Chaos Res as possible, so you can like kind of ignore your max resistance on your elemental based stuff, right? This one is a bit awkward. I have 80 Chaos, 77 Cold and Lightning, and 78 Fire resistance. So Divine Flesh isn't doing a lot besides giving me 5 max Chaos resistance. I could save that point. In the best case scenario, you would get some small cluster jewels, maybe a Megalomaniac or something like that, with Born of Chaos, gives you 3 max Chaos resistance. You probably get like 3 of those, and you're getting like up to like 89, 99, or 89 or 90% maximum Chaos resistance, and then you can forget about the other max resistance, because 50% of that ally damage is taken as Chaos damage, and this will give you a nice layer of defense. But why do I have this one? Faster bleed over here, faster bleed over here, faster bleed over here, with reduced extra damage from critical strikes on the first armor node and 1 max res on the second. So as I said, in the best case scenario, you want to get as max Chaos res as possible, but it was 1 point, it's over there, so why not just take it as a seat at 2911 of Xibaqua. Gives a lot of damage, by the way, these like faster bleed nodes. So for bleed, it's always about duration versus faster bleeds, okay? Duration is needed because you don't want to have bleeds that last like 1 second. It's not like a dot build, right? So you want to get bleed duration for some with something like what is it? The bleed mastery with increased duration, or like medium cluster jewels with Rend, with Fist Out Multi, and bleed duration on top of that. And then you want to make the bleeds faster. So you're always extending your bleeds and then squish it together with faster bleeds, and that results in a very high DPS. And if you can maintain that DPS, it's going to be a lot of like overall damage more. It's not a poison build where this like doesn't apply that in that case. Large cluster jewels, 3 times Battle Hardened, Master the Fundamentals, and Furious Assault. Here I have my Forbidden Flame Flash. Then I'm running Ancestral Vision, because this character is spell suppression capped. That means I get 50% chance to avoid elemental ailments from that one. Then I have like, I think like 12% over here, 2% of my Anomalous Grace, and 36% of my elemental damage. Avoid elemental ailments from my Grand Spectrum. So since we're Gladiator, I'm running here Outmatch and Outlast. That means I get 10% more physical damage while maximum Frenzy, 10% reduced while maximum Endurance. The way I solve this is with a triple Grand Spectrum setup. 1 Frenzy, 1 Endurance, 1 Avoid elemental ailments. So we're gonna have those 3 charges all the time. So this Outmatch and Outlast is up 24/7. Don't worry about this like one voice passive here. The reason is I needed a jewel slot for a Watcher's Eye, right? And I would have taken this one, but I'm like level 96. So what I would have to do is go 5-way carries or get this build to level 100 to get this extra jewel slot. In the POB, the one voice passive is not there. It's the classic large cluster jewel that I used before, just with a higher level and this jewel slot taking, okay? That's the reason why in this version I'm actually using this one voice. It's not in the POB, don't worry about that. Good. On the right side here, the same thing. I have here Megalomaniac with Sublime Form and Uncompromising with Determination and Grace Mana Reservation Efficiency to fit in my auras, as well as like Rend and Wasting Affliction Cluster with a Corrupted Blood Immunity rare jewel, and that is pretty much it. So where is my Watcher's Eye? I think it's over here. It's like Grace Movement Speed, Bleeding Immune while Malevolence and Damaging Ailments faster. This is like pretty nice. I got this for 3 divines, I think, so it was pretty cheap. Because I get poison immunity if my evasion rating is higher than my armor rating on my helmet, which in this case with the Nightmare Basket it is secured, so I'm poison immune from this one, and since we're running Malevolence, we are bleeding immune from that one as well. So as I said, ailment immune, bleed immune, poison immune, sadly not stun immune, but as I said, if you don't do Uber bosses, you will never like really notice that, because it's always like how big is the hit that you're getting, and with Progenesis splitting the damage up for a dot and an on hit with all the damage reduction that we're having, with Flasks up having like what do we have, 61k armor and 49k evasion, 85% evade, 90% fist damage mitigation. you know, you're quite reducing a lot of the incoming damage, so getting stunned, maybe like a micro stun here and there, but you don't really feel that, as I said, besides the Uber Boss thingies. Good, we talked about the bleed thingies. What else do I want to mention here? The path of building link is in the description below. Let's go over the cosmetics real quick. We have the Demonic Hood with the Extinction Body Armor, Extinction Boots with the Blood-Soaked Torturer Gloves. It was something like Mystery Box that changes the way bleeding looks like. Now the monsters are getting like impaled when they're bleeding, something like that. Then Worm Weapon Effect without a quiver. We have Fiery Eyes with the Soul Harvester's Cloak. The Void Emperor's Enchanter's Ring, which changes the appearance of Onslaught. And the Enchanter's Sun Prison Ring, which changes the appearance of Facing. So that's why I'm looking like a rainbow when I'm actually getting Facing. And Demonic Character Effect with the Crowstorm Portal Effect. Other than that, we have the Demonic Split Arrow Effect, and that's pretty much it. The rest of the auras are disabled because I don't want to have like a freaking Christmas tree when it comes to like, yeah, character visuals. Good. What else to talk about? I don't think if you need something in specific, if I have forgot something to cover here, then please let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I really enjoyed this project. It was really a good time playing Bleed Bow again. I really had some good flashbacks about when Bleed Bow was actually kind of meta at some point. But I'm also a bit disappointed on the end game viability. So as I said, go with Rain of Arrows with the Crucible node, and you shouldn't have or face those problems that I faced when it comes to like 100% daily or sim farming. And then you can even, like as a champion, get maybe Hemophilia gloves for the Bleed Explodey, for example, right? And figure out the way over there with the champion. Alright, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.